Let's do some calls of the day now. We're going to top it off with AMD. Downgraded to neutral from overweight. Piper Sandler. Don't see that all that often. That's our primary call of the day. Dr. J, you own AMD calls. Kramer says this cut was a, quote, wrong-headed cut. What do you think? And I mentioned you don't hear much negativity around AMD.
No, you don't, Scott. And the reason you don't is, of course, only Boeing has a bigger backlog than any of these big semiconductors. The fact that Advanced Micro Devices got this downgrade, I understand if it's because, and part of the note said, you know, it was just a tremendous year for them. And taking some money off the table is something that smart investors, traders do all the time. But I wasn't really taken by the note that caused me to exit my positions or anything. I just think you hammer out calls against the position and you continue to hold, because I think that demand is going to push prices up and push the price of the stock higher.
Next, we've got Visa, MasterCard, and PayPal, all named top 2022 picks at Morgan Stanley. It's super relevant to us today. Brenda, you own PayPal and Visa, and PayPal's been squirrely lately. The return on that stock's down 5% year to date, 6 months down 40%.
Yeah, PayPal saw the correction much earlier than others, obviously for fundamental reasons. However, there was a bit of a disappointment, but I think it led to a reset of expectations, where expectations have really arguably gotten ahead of themselves here. But this company is really a leader within the payment processing industry in terms of innovation and also growth. We think that's going to continue into this year. Also have some exciting developments with Venmo being accepted now on Amazon. We don't expect a huge financial contribution, but it really adds legitimacy to the Venmo platform. So we still think that this is an interesting opportunity for a name that was once beloved and that is incredibly profitable and still has a lot of opportunity ahead of itself.
Jason Snipe, you own PayPal as well. What do you make of the recent decline? I mean, this was a very much loved stock, and it's certainly been in the penalty box.
Yeah, it's been a tough run down on the other side. I mean, not too long ago it was up over 300. So, yeah, I agree with a lot of what Brenda already just said. I think payment volumes, though, have been surging. That trend is not changing. It was up 26% in the last quarter. So I think this might be an opportunity here. Again, it's an expensive stock. It fits in that bucket. But I do think there's some opportunities here, and there's definitely opportunities for the long term. Because there's provided all the secular tailwinds that support this industry. So I like PayPal here.
So Josh Brown, where does PayPal fall in those kinds of stocks that we talked about at the outset of the show today? It's down 42.5%. From its 52-week high. Is this one of those, I need to buy it now because the fundamentals are so sound, or I need to run for the hills because the stock's been just trashed in a relatively short period of time and is now sitting more than 40% from its high?
Yeah, I like the stock. This is one of those that, I've used bounces to lighten up on, but I've been dead wrong on this because close to 300, I was beating the drum. You got to be in PayPal. So I've been very wrong in this name. I really did not anticipate the relentlessness with which the market would be selling off the fintech names. I thought these names were okay. And PayPal is nowhere near as expensive as it was at those levels. But to Brenda's point, they also came out in November and changed the story. They came out and, the expectation was for 20% growth in 22, and they came out and said more like 15. And so a lot of that selling was warranted. So I have been wrong in the name, despite the fact that it's currently trading right around my original average cost. And I am sticking with most of my position here, and I am looking to stay with this stock for the long term. I think PayPal ultimately is going to own very important real estate on everyone's smartphones. We're not going to have 10 fintech apps. I've talked about this on the show before. I think we're headed to a point where everyone's going to use 2 or 3 super apps, which will enable you to do everything from paying your bills to buying crypto, trading stocks, having managed money on your phone, etc. We're not going to want a whole screen full of these. So I think PayPal is positioned better than most. You look at what went on yesterday with SoFi getting their bank charter, not nice reaction in the stock, but that's not even close to where these names are going to have to go in order to be that super app. I think Venmo in stores is a very underrated part of the reopening story. I think Venmo at Amazon as well has a lot of potential. But just overall, this company with almost 400 million users is positioned better than any other. So I want to stay with my core position here for the long term.
A couple of great days for SoFi as we show you that stock on our screen now. Lastly, Doc, Ford. So you bought new Ford March 22 calls. And this is a stock that just got hammered yesterday. It was the worst day in 8 months. And I remember we did it live on the show when we were flagged to it. And it was something to see. I mean, this was a stock that had such a great run and then bang, as you like to say, it got hammered. And now you've bought some calls. Tell me why.
Yeah, bang. Well, Scott, there are 6 different strikes of options, call options, that have traded over 30,000 contracts. Each one of those representing 3 million shares of stock. So this is very heavy activity after that washout yesterday. And do we know it's the washout? No, we don't. But we do know that they were just hammering on the stock. This morning it opened down about 3% plus, Scott, and then turned around and went positive. Now it's back to unchanged or perhaps a little down right here, but I'm hoping to sell more calls against these March 22s. I have 2 full cycles out till March to do that, and I like the upside from here with the F-150 Lightning and so forth out there. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with the position, and I'm looking for more upside here.